The year is 2002. Ethiopia. A group of scientists is working at the crater of one of the most dangerous volcanoes on the planet. They have accumulated a bag of household garbage weighing 30 kilograms, and they decided, just throw it into the lava. What happened next shocked even the most experienced volcanologists. What if we really started recycling all our garbage in volcanoes? Is this a good idea or the beginning of a real disaster? Every year, humanity produces 2 billion tons of garbage. It's like 400 million elephants. Americans alone throw out 254 million tons of waste per year. Landfills all over the world are overcrowded, pollution levels in the oceans are off the charts, and the problem is only growing every year. Because of this, people started coming up with more and more crazy ideas. Shoot the trash far into space? It's too expensive. It's thousands of dollars per kilogram. Dump them in the ocean basins? We already tried it until the 1970s. As a result of radioactive contamination, huge areas of the seabed will remain dead zones for hundreds of years, where nothing alive survives. Then another idea came up. What if we use volcanoes? After all, they are like natural incinerators capable of destroying everything without a trace. To understand what happens when debris meets lava, let's go back to 2002. The Erta oil volcano in Ethiopia is one of the few on the planet with a permanent lava lake. This place is so inhospitable that locals call it the gates of hell. The air temperature here reaches 50 degrees, and a lake of molten lava is bubbling in the crater at temperatures above 1,000 degrees Celsius. An international group of volcanologists from France, Italy, and the USA came here for research. The team consisted of experienced scientists, including French volcanologist Pierre Vaillot and specialists from the French National Research Center. Their goal was to install measuring instruments, take lava samples, and study the behavior of one of the most active lava lakes on the planet. After several days of hard work in extreme conditions, the expedition accumulated a bag of household garbage. Plastic bottles, metal cans, leftovers, and rags are common camp waste. In the conditions of the African desert, where the nearest city is hundreds of kilometers away and transport is only by camels, it was extremely difficult to take out the garbage. And then one of the scientists proposed an obvious solution. What if we just throw it into the lava? It seemed logical, because lava destroys everything in its path. A bag weighing about 30 kilograms was slowly lowered to the edge of the lava lake and dumped into the incandescent mass. Nothing happened for the first few seconds. The bag slowly sank into the lava like a stone into water. But as soon as he broke through the thin crust on the surface of the lava lake, something unexpected happened. A powerful explosion shook the entire crater. Red-hot lava sprays rose several meters into the air, and the shock wave forced the scientists to run away to a safe distance in a panic. The roar was so strong that it could be heard a kilometer away from the crater. What happened? When the cold debris hit the red-hot lava, it instantly began to evaporate. Water from organic waste turned into steam, and plastic began to decompose, releasing toxic gases such as hydrogen chloride, carbon monoxide, and other toxic compounds. All this created a huge volume of steam and gases under the dense crust of lava. The pressure increased dramatically, and when it reached a critical point, the gas rushed out, as if from an overheated boiler. Red, hot lava shot out a fountain to the height of a 5-story building, and the shock wave knocked the scientists off their feet. They barely managed to roll away from the edge of the crater, fleeing from the deadly splashes of molten rock. The experiment was immediately stopped, but the question remained open. What if we tried to do the same thing only on a much larger scale? What happens if volcanoes are turned into global incinerators? At first glance, volcanoes really seem like perfect incinerators. The temperature of the lava reaches 1,200 degrees, which is much higher than in any industrial furnace. Volcanoes work around the clock, do not require fuel, and seem capable of digesting any waste. But the reality turns out to be much more complicated. The first problem is that there simply aren't enough of them. There are only about 1,500 potentially active volcanoes on the entire planet, and most of them are located in completely inaccessible places. In the middle of oceans, in mountains, in deserts, far from human habitation. This is logical. Volcanoes pose a deadly threat to all living things. The second problem is that not all volcanoes are suitable. For waste disposal, so-called shield volcanoes with permanent lava lakes are needed. These are slowly erupting volcanoes that do not explode, but gradually pour out lava. There are only a few of them on the planet. Most volcanoes are stratovolcanoes known for their explosive eruptions. Approaching them with garbage trucks would be suicide. The third problem is logistics. Imagine, you need to deliver millions of tons of garbage to the craters of volcanoes located in the most inaccessible places on the planet. Thousands of trucks, camel caravans, helicopters. All this will require enormous fuel costs. The carbon footprint from such transportation will be many times greater than from the usual incineration of garbage on site. The fourth problem is security. Working at the edge of an active volcano is a constant game with death. The poisonous gases that rise from the crater can kill in minutes. Lava splashes can burn through any protective clothing, and sudden changes in volcano activity can take workers by surprise. The fifth problem is that the lava itself is not as omnipotent as it seems. Yes, it melts most materials, but not all. Metals with a high melting point will remain in the lava as impurities. Many chemical compounds are not completely destroyed, but turn into toxic gases that rise into the atmosphere. Plastic releases dioxins during combustion, which are one of the most toxic substances on the planet. Gorenge. And most importantly, if a 30-kilogram bag caused such a powerful explosion, imagine what would happen to tons of garbage. In Hawaii, Iceland, and Kamchatka, tourists constantly throw bottles and stones into lava flows for the sake of spectacular shots for social networks. On Mount Etna, tourists stand a few centimeters from the molten lava, ignoring the demands of the authorities to keep a distance of at least 500 meters. And in Kamchatka, tourists even roast sausages on lava. Each such hit by a foreign object causes instant evaporation and small explosions, scattering red-hot splashes for tens of meters. But it's just a bottle or a stone, not a bag of assorted waste. But let's imagine for a second the fantastic scenario that we decided to use volcanoes after all. Just as we once seriously considered space garbage catapults or underwater waste disposal sites. What would it look like? Huge caravans of trucks stretching across deserts and mountains to the few suitable volcanoes. Special roads built to the craters for billions of dollars. Protective suits for workers, air purification systems, automatic garbage dumpers. And then there are constant explosions, poisoning of the air for hundreds of kilometers around, acid rain from emissions. Any change in the activity of the volcano would turn into a catastrophe on a planetary scale. Volcanic winters from ash emissions, groundwater pollution, ecosystem destruction. No, you definitely shouldn't turn volcanoes into landfills. Just as it was not worth turning the ocean into a radioactive garbage dump, which humanity actively did in the 20th century. Fortunately, modern civilization has much more reasonable and effective solutions to the problem of waste. Today, new generation incinerators are actively used in developed countries. These are not just furnaces, but high-tech complexes with a multi-stage filtration system. They not only destroy waste at a temperature of 850 degrees, but also generate heat and electricity. In Sweden, such plants provide energy to entire cities, and the emissions are so clean that they meet the strictest environmental standards. In parallel, deep sorting and recycling of waste is developing. Modern sorting facilities use robotic arms and artificial intelligence systems that can separate plastic from metal and paper from glass, with an accuracy of up to 95%. 66% of all household waste is recycled in Germany, and 59% in South Korea. Biotechnologies promise a revolution in the fight against garbage. Scientists have already created bacteria that can eat plastic, turning it into harmless compounds. A Japanese company has isolated a bacterium that completely decomposes PET plastic in a few weeks. In parallel, biodegradable materials are being developed. Packaging made of algae, starch, and fungal mycelium, which disappears into nature after months. An interesting economic approach is being applied in Asia, the pay-for-garbage system. Citizens pay for the removal of waste in proportion to its volume and type. The more unsorted garbage there is, the higher the fee. This dramatically encourages people to sort their waste and throw less away. As a result, the amount of household waste in South Korea has decreased by 30% in 10 years. Plasma gasification is considered a promising technology, a process in which garbage decomposes in plasma at temperatures above 3,000 degrees. This results in a synthesis gas that can be used as fuel, and there are practically no toxic emissions left. While this technology is expensive, it is being actively developed in Japan and Europe. All these methods already work in reality and have proven their effectiveness. They are safe, economically feasible, and do not require the transformation of volcanoes into industrial facilities. So, volcanoes are not natural incinerators. These are complex, unpredictable, and extremely dangerous geological systems that are best left alone. An Ethiopian experiment in 2002 clearly showed that even 30 kilograms of ordinary garbage can cause a powerful explosion in a lava lake, and millions of tons of waste would turn volcanoes into real-time bombs, threatening the entire planet. Science does not tolerate simple solutions to complex problems, and humanity has already found safer, more efficient, and environmentally friendly ways to deal with waste. The best way to dispose of garbage is through recycling, energy use, and consumption reduction, rather than trying to force nature to do the dirty work for us. Volcanoes should remain what they are, one of the most majestic and formidable natural phenomena, and we have learned how to dispose of garbage in more civilized ways.